to be back for another Touchdown Atlantic between Saskatchewan and Toronto. Second straight meeting in the Maritimes, and this is also their 100th all-time meeting in the regular season. Saskatchewan owns the season series. The Argos own the recent history, winning Touchdown Atlantic last year in a back-and-forth game. But first regular season CFL game, Dwayne, here at Husky Stadium. You and I, over the years, especially covering university football and playing in it as well, know what this stadium means for maritime football.
Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic history here. Many Atlantic Bowls, now called the UTEC Bowl. Semifinal game, national semifinal game in terms of U Sports football. Some great games played over the years, and obviously a lot of great players coming out of not just the St. Mary's program, but out of the Maritimes in general.
We noticed at the hotel, you see all the green jerseys, Argo jerseys as well. Fans flocking here. Craig Dickinson, fourth season as head coach with Saskatchewan, had them at 3-1. They have dropped 2 straight games, coming in at 500. Ryan Dinwiddie, a small sample size in just his 3rd year, but a 25-12 career CFL record with the Argos, and of course winning the Grey Cup last year at Mosaic in Regina. They come in at 5-0 for the first time since 1960, a 5-0 record. And Boris Beattie, after Saskatchewan won the toss and deferred, will kick off for the Argos. Mario Alford, always dangerous. A couple of return touchdowns in this young season. Touchdown Atlantic 2023 is underway with Alford. Up across the 30, the 35 before he tiptoes out of bounds for Mason Fine. Is 0-3 as a starter, got the start last week and in BC, and looking to pick up that first victory here in the Maritimes.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, just the 4th career start for Mason Fine, so obviously there's a process here for him, for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, with Trevor Harris out long term. This is going to be Mason Fine's job for the time being. The hope is that he grows into it.
The running back Jamal Mora out to the wide side, number 19, Samuel Emelis on this 1st and 10 for Mason Fine. Looking to push it down the field more, and they do. A quick first down through the air. That one is caught by Sean Bain, the 2nd leading receiver so far in the Riders.
And nice job here, good protection up front. Putting Mason Fine in a comfortable position to deliver that football. Sean Bain really starting to heat up. Coming off a 10-catch game for him that's moved him into 2nd place among CFL receivers in terms of receptions.
Empty backfield, 4 receivers to the left. Quickly throwing over the middle, and a 2-for-2 start for Fine, both to Sean Bain. So quickly they get up across midfield and close to another first down.
And taking a look at this Riders offense, slowly starting to get a little bit healthier. Peter Godber returns to the lineup as center, the former BC Lion, providing some veteran presence there. The receiving core lost Mitch Picton, but they welcome back some size in Braden Lennius and Jake Wenicky.
So a couple of passes to Bain. That one goes for 9 yards. A 2nd and 1 right now at the Toronto 51. Morrow's first carry. The panel talked about it, that they got to get him going. He had only 11 yards on 12 carries at BC last week. Jared Brinkman, big tackle in there again for Toronto.
Yeah, we know how tough the Argos are in terms of that, the interior of their defensive line. Watch Brinkman from just inside that right goalpost, fighting his way into the gap, into the backfield, to make the tackle on Morrow. And yeah, you heard the panel talk about this before the game, the importance of Jamal Morrow in that running game, getting that going a little bit to try and stay out of 2nd and long, or obviously in this instance a punting situation, keeping drives going for Mason Fine.
They couldn't convert, so it's a 3rd down now for Adam Korsak, punting it away to Javon Leake, standing inside his 10. A punt of 46 yards. This return by Leake. He finds a seam. He breaks free, gets over midfield before he is finally taken down by Jaden Dolke. And a great return by Leake to set the Argos up for their first possession, and a 51-yard return.
Well, this is one of the things that's been underrated, Rod, about the Argos' success so far this season. So we take a look at our great view from up above. They have had better average starting positions for their offensive possessions than any team in the Canadian Football League. Javon Leake has been a big part of that in the return game.
Their average start is their own 42. as you talked about, and this time they get to start this game. And in the last 2 games, they've scored touchdowns on their first possession. Chad Kelly going to work, finds a receiver, complete for a first down. It's Tavares Daniels, who had a touchdown reception last week in Hamilton, a gain of 20.
Yeah, Tavares Daniels, the veteran in that receiving corps, comes in as Toronto's second leading receiver behind DeMonte Coxie, who's out of the lineup today, by the way. But Daniels, not just a reliable receiver in the short and intermediate game, but still great capability as a big play guy for the Double Blue.
Chad Kelly comes in, the top-rated quarterback in the CFL, fakes the handoff, throws again. And no, knocked away, and a flag comes out. Pete Robertson, their great defensive end for Saskatchewan, coming in and messing things up for Kelly, but as mentioned, a flag down. The referee, Justin McInnes.
Offside, Toronto, number 89. That penalty is declined. Second down.
Chad Kelly is mentioned, top rated, and comes in with the highest completion percentage in the CFL as well, at nearly 72%.
And what stands out about that completion percentage is he's not doing that with just nickel and diming it. He's not afraid to put up contested balls and let his receivers go get them. And they have certainly rewarded their QB's faith.
He was 5 for 5, 20 plus last week. Deep ball caught. No, nearly striking Daniels there, and right into coverage. It is a 3rd and 10 coming up at the Saskatchewan 31.
Yeah, I think this was a well-placed ball from Kelly, but I think Daniels probably saw Jaden Dulkey on his way over from that free safety spot. It's not a fear thing by any stretch, as we saw Daniels take a big hit on a very similar play from Marc-Antoine Dequoy in Montreal a couple weeks ago, but just a distraction as that free safety was flashing over.
So Boris Beatty comes on with this ball to be put down at the 38 by John Haggerty to put the first points on the board, and touchdown Atlantic. Beatty up, and Beatty puts it through. So 3rd straight game the Argos have scored in their opening possession. This one ends up being a field goal. Touchdown University in Wolfville. And a highlight here, McLeod Bethel Thompson to Tavares Daniels for that touchdown. This was close. Back and forth it went. And the Riders actually had the 24-22 lead until this. 3 minutes to go. Wynton McManus with the pick 6. And the Argos went on to win it 30-24. And now the first regular season game is mentioned at Husky Stadium. First touchdown Atlantic, a preseason game between the Argos and Ticats back in 2005, played here from the Saskatchewan 40. Quick toss inside to Bain. And going around the right, trying to work his way up to about the 44, and a second down coming up here for the Riders.
Yeah, we take a look at the Toronto Argonauts starting defense. One of their unsung heroes who shouldn't be so unsung, Dwayne Hendricks, absolute force from the interior of that D-line. You heard Wynton McManus, the man who had the biggest play of the game a year ago. And an undefeated team just getting stronger. Jamal Peters rejoining the Argos a couple of weeks ago after an NFL stint.
Mason Fine, perfect throwing so far, and looks to take off, but a flag is out. It was a 2nd and 6, and he falls down well shy of the first down.
Holding, Saskatchewan, number 66. It's a 10-yard penalty. Repeat, second down.
Flag the right tackle, Colin Kelly.
Regardless of the penalty, I like the decision by Mason Fine here. In the 2nd and medium, approaching 2nd and long situation, to pull the ball down and run. Keep defenses honest. I thought this was a little bit one of the pieces that was lacking against BC last week in the 2nd and longs.
So a 2nd and 16. Fine is 3 for 3 for 27. Make it 4 for 4, but Bain is taken down back at the 35, so 5 yards further back from where this drive started, and the punting unit will come on for the Riders.
And regardless of end result there for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, I thought there were a couple of positives for them on that series. As I mentioned, Mason Fine using his legs to try and extend plays, keep a drive alive. But in addition to that, also Sean Bain getting involved in the run game to try to attack the perimeter a little bit, hopefully loosen things up in the middle, try and get Jamal Morrow going.
Javon Lee got a 51-yard return the first time. He takes it at his 30, and he has a decent return here as he gets it up across the 45. Chad Kelly, 1 for 3 for 20 on that opening drive, but did get them close enough thanks to a great place to start to get its games in his last 2 in Hamilton and in Montreal.
The Argos couldn't have written the script any better for Chad Kelly. Obviously, it was the one question mark for the returning Grey Cup champions coming into this season was the new guy at quarterback. He had only 1 career start coming into the season, but he's been outstanding.
A.J. Ouellette with his first carry as he picks up 2 or 3. Taken down for a second down as we look at that Argo offense.
And taking a look at this group, Darius Sirocco, the former Hamilton Tiger Cat and Ottawa Red Black, joins the Argos in free agency. Strong young group on the interior of that offensive line. Jeremiah Hadel gets the start at wide receiver today in place of the aforementioned DeMonte Coxey, who is out of the lineup with injury. He had been a game-time decision for Toronto.
2nd and long now. Ouellette stays in. Deeper ball, and that falls incomplete. A little bit behind the intended receiver by Kelly. And so a 2 and out this time for Kelly and the Argos offense, as Haggerty will come on to punt it away.
Yeah, nice stop here for Saskatchewan, particularly when you talk about the field position game, not letting the Argos get into their territory before punting the ball. With Mario Alford back there, an opportunity to avoid being hemmed in deep.
Well, we saw 1 big return by league in this game. Alford leads the way in the CFL in average punt return yardage. He returned 2 for touchdowns against Calgary 2 weeks ago. Haggerty. And Alford takes it inside the 20. And to feel his way through and can't find any room at all in that coverage by the Argos. Beautiful Halifax Harbor. Been just a gorgeous last couple of days, and lots of Mason Fine making his 2nd straight start. He started 3 so far in his CFL career, including 2 at the end of last season.
Yeah, and Mason Fine recognizes that this is something of a journey, but being presented with a big opportunity here, obviously not wanting to benefit from the injury to Trevor Harris, but looking to make the most of this opportunity early in his career.
He throws a deep one here, and the nearest is an Argo. A little bit far in coverage there, as Fine has his first incompletion. And one of the things that we've talked about, it's been talked about, is the completion percentage has been good, but they do have to push the ball down the field further. They tried there.
And on this one, you're going to see Jake Wenicky coming out of the slot on this play. He's going deep, Wenicky, in his first game back. After missing a couple, out wider coming from the bottom of your screen, but just off the mark. But nonetheless, the Riders understand the message that they need to hit some deep shots in this game.
2nd down, he's going nowhere except taken down. A sack for Wynton McManus coming in on the blitz. As we showed you earlier, had the biggest defensive play a year ago in Wolfville, and a big one for the Argos there to force Saskatchewan to punt again.
All right, keep an eye here. Big rush from the Toronto Argonauts. Little shuffle, moving people around. McManus moving inside out, gets lost in that shuffle by the offensive line, and he's free to the backfield.
And so Korsak is in again, close to his 5. Lone returner is Leak, standing at the Argo 40. Dwayne talked about how Toronto has enjoyed excellent field position to start their drives, averaging at the 42. It appears they're going to have that chance again. On the punt by Korsak, just inside the 40. But he backtracks. A punt of 51 yards by Korsak. And they nearly had him, but they don't. And here goes Leak again. Leaks out, still going, all the way for an Argo touchdown.
A couple of near misses for the Saskatchewan Roughriders on that punt cover proved costly. First two men down. Looked like they were going to be unblocked and have a shot at the returner. But that's where Leak went deep to set up his blocks. And then right there, the cut inside. To break a tackle, get himself to the sideline. And Javon Leak comes up big.
With his second return touchdown of the season, that one was a 71-yarder. He had a 91-yard return for a touchdown against the BC Lions. And so he joins Mario Alford with 2 return touchdowns in this season. Leak, well, he had a 51-yarder on his first, shorter one in his second, and then breaks that one all the way to the end zone to put the Argos up 10.
Yeah, and it's a move right there to cut inside. There was the difference maker on this return for Javon Leak. No doubt he knows who the returner is on the other side. The always dangerous Mario Alford. Javon Leak doing a lot in the early part of this season to get himself into that conversation amongst the best special teams return men in Canadian football.
In his second season out of Maryland. And the biggest play so far in Touchdown Atlantic 2023. Mickey Donovan, special teams coordinator for the Argos, and loving that.
Watch out for you. Hello, Lele. Yeah, baby girl. Daddy putting on. Come on.
So the Riders in a 10-point hole, 6:06 in the first quarter. And Alford, one of the most dangerous. And Saskatchewan knows all about the powers of the return game and needing something like that from Alford right now. Up to the 15. Being chased there by Dejon Brissett. He finds the edge. He turns the corner. He gets it up across the 30 for Saskatchewan. And Mason Fine to come back on.
And certainly not a time to press the panic button for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Ton of time to go in this football game, but the Argos up by a couple of scores. You just don't want to grow impatient in terms of your game plan.
And you see those numbers, and 4 for 5 immediately catches your eye as a great percentage. He was 31 of 40 last week in BC, but just 278 yards, and they could only manage 3 field goals. That's the thing. He's completing passes, but they need more yardage.
Yeah, it was interesting. I focused in particular in this football game on second and long situations, what they were doing in response to their run being stopped on first down. And yeah, completing the vast majority of their passes in those instances. But you're seeing what the defense is able to do to them. Just sitting back their defenders over the top and allowing completions in front of that first down marker coming up to make tackles. So this is where they need to find a way to hit some deep shots, keep the defense honest, but also to get that run game going, which will go a long way as well in terms of allowing them to do more in the pass game, quite frankly.
Deshaun Amos, the injured Argos, slowly getting off the field, and that's something Kelly Jeffrey, Saskatchewan's offensive coordinator, would love to see. He spent some time coaching university ball in the Maritimes.
Yeah, Kelly Jeffrey, his start in Canadian football, actually, for Kelly Jeffrey was at Mount Allison University, initially as an assistant coach, eventually becoming the head coach there before moving on to the Canadian Football League.
Amos off to the sideline. 1st and 10. Saskatchewan down 10-0 now. Punt return touchdown by Javon Leak. Mason Fine throws it off and completes it, but no, Argos swarming him inside the 30 and lost yardage for Saskatchewan in that first down play.
Quantez Stiggers, the rookie, moved over from boundary corner to field corner with the return of Jamal Peters. Comes up big on that play. Recognition that the hitch screen was coming, very quickly beating his block to make a play in the backfield.
Loss of 5, 2nd and 15 from the Rider 28 for Fine. He's looking off to his right. Looking deeper, too. The intended receiver was Tevin Jones. The Argo coverage was good. And a third down is coming up again for the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
Yeah, and again, this is one of the shifts we're seeing in response to their struggles last week. Watching all those second down passing plays, second and long passing plays for Saskatchewan, very rarely were they able to complete the ball. I think, honestly, just once in 15 second and long situations were they able to complete the pass to a receiver who had actually run a route deeper than that first down marker. Everything was completed short, hoping the receivers could break tackles to pick up the first down, but there you saw them throwing beyond the first down marker.
And the returner for the Argos now is 82, Jeremiah Hadel, inserted into the lineup with the injury to DeMonte Coxing. So they're giving Leak a little bit of a break, and see what Hadel can do as he gets it up across the 40. He was with the Argos last year, mainly on special teams after a 54-yard punt. Second and long, but incomplete. Argo ball again up.
But across the country, spread the word. Donate to the Red Cross. Volunteer to the Red Cross, not just for the benefit of those here, but around the country. Here, it's about what you can do for your neighbor. The CFL and the Red Cross want everyone across the country to spread that message. Rock.
Thank you, Matthew. Absolutely. And it's devastating. Andrew Harris, the ball carrier, but the flooding, the fires earlier in May, the hurricane before, as Matthew talked about, such a difficult time for Nova Scotia.
Yeah, an incredibly challenging summer in this part of the country. Football and the Canadian Football League specifically just hoping to do what it can, not just to lift spirits, but to help people out of these difficult times.
Absolutely. It's A.J. Ouellette, second straight running play Argos. Harris before, and Ouellette this time in a first down as the Argos will move the sticks up 10 late here in the first quarter.
And A.J. Ouellette comes into this week leading the Canadian Football League in rushing yards per game. The Argos, of course, limited to just 5 games thus far. They've already had 2 bye weeks in their schedule. So 34 seeing a bigger share of the football this year and definitely delivering.
And they go back to Andrew Harris, who's getting closer to 5th all-time in career CFL rushing and helps his cause there with more yardage. Coming in, Harris doesn't need much in order to catch Charles Roberts. He's 6th all-time, 39 yards shy coming in as you look at the Rider defense.
Yes, sir, and we'll keep an eye on Anthony Lanier from his defensive end spot. Credited with only 1 sack so far this season, but a guy who makes that pass rush tick. Larry Dean among the league leaders in plays made. What a great comeback he had last year after missing the previous season with an Achilles injury. And we'll keep an eye on Jaden Dalkey at free safety. Nice to see the University of Alberta product getting an opportunity to do his thing back there.
The Argos have the ball down to the Rider 41. It's a 2nd and 2 coming up. They get set to whistle this one in. Harris, still the running back. As Kelly gives it to him again. Has 2, has more. Andrew Harris racking up yardage and getting it down to the Rider 30.
Such a dynamic 1-2 punch. A.J. Ouellette and Andrew Harris. Harris, who really never seems to get older, he just gets better. Bigger, stronger, faster, still showing some burst and some power on those last 2 runs.
He has 3 carries for 26. The Argos keeping it on the ground, this time to A.J. Ouellette on that first down carry, and not much there that time for the Argos.
Even talking to Saskatchewan head coach Craig Dickinson this week, and we asked him what he felt had been the key to the Toronto Argonauts' success so far, and one of the things he immediately identified, as so many have this year, has been the play of their offensive line. Terrific young group that really coming together under the coaching of Chris Sweet.
Kelly to pass now, and he looks to his right, and no, Cam Phillips, the intended target, Derek Moncrief, was on him. So it falls to the turf, and we have a 3rd down and a field goal situation coming up for Toronto.
Yeah, nicely timed defensive play there from the veteran, Derek Moncrief. arriving just in time to get a hand on that football.
Boris Beatty, 1 for 1 today in the field goal department, 10 for 11 on the season. This one to be spotted just outside the 35 as Beatty puts it up and through and stays perfect on the day here in touchdown Atlantic. Well, Canada's run in the FIFA Women's World Cup continues as they face Australia in just a huge matchup. That's 5 a.m. Eastern, 2 a.m. Pacific. It could decide who gets through to the knockout stage. TSN and CTV, your home for exclusive coverage all tournament long. Canada coming off the victory over Ireland, but taking on Australia. TSN and CTV here, touchdown Atlantic, the 6th one as far as the regular season is concerned. The first 4 in Moncton, and last year in Wolfville, and this one in Halifax. Glad you could join us. Just a beautiful day here in the Maritimes. 13-0. Toronto leads. Mason Fine and that Rider offense. Looking to get something going. They go to the ground, and Frankie Hickson with his first carry of this touchdown Atlantic, getting it up across the 45. I mentioned that history going back to 2010 in Moncton. And the first 4 there, Edmonton and Toronto. The Argos have been involved in a few. Hamilton and Calgary the next year, and the Ticats. And then the one last year at Acadia when the Argos beat the Riders 30-24.
Yeah, great history. Some exciting games. I actually remember Montreal making some of the most exciting plays of the year a few years back in Moncton.
Second down, and back to Hickson again, who gets close. He looks to be about a foot or two shy of a first down for the Roughriders.
And Frankie Hickson, the other half of the Riders running back tandem. He's sharing time with Jamal Morrow back there.
And they actually spotted it further back, so it is a lot more than first thought where the knee went down for Hickson. And it would be about 1.5 yards as Corsack does come on to punt it away. And Javon Leake is back in this game for Toronto as the only touchdown in this game on a 71-yard return. On this, the final play of the first quarter of touchdown Atlantic. The Aussie, Corsack, gets it to Leake inside the 20. He bumps into Deontay Williams after a punt of 47. He gets it up across the Argo 30. And we are at quarter time on the campus of St. Mary's University. And just a beautiful day here in Halifax, Nova Scotia for touchdown Atlantic. 13-0. The Argos lead the run.
That guy was something.
He really was.
Hey? I'll tell you what, so 1989, fall of 1989, kind of a fun time for the Ford family. Literally the only game in university of mine and my brother Daryl's that my parents ever missed was that fall of 89. It was when my dad was being inducted to the Acadia Sports Hall of Fame. A couple months later, for the first time ever, Daryl and I set foot in our dad's native Nova Scotia. He was born and raised in Sydney. And that was, of course, for the Atlantic Bowl. So I had the best game of my life that day. A week later, Darryl was the defensive MVP of the Vanier Cup game.
And then this, a year later, the rematch in the Atlantic Bowl against St. Mary's. Little Fumblerooski. And the St. Mary's Huskies got the revenge on your Mustangs dramatically. Chris Flynn, such an outstanding player, one of the greatest ever in Canadian university sports. To Anthony Williams, Larry Utek, and the Huskies went on to the Vanier Cup after knocking off your Mustangs.
Yes, sir. That was the last game of my university career, played right here on this field. You refer to Chris Flynn as one of the greatest players in Canadian university football history.
We can say the
Chris Flynn is the greatest player in the history of Canadian university football. 3-time Heck Crichton winner. Absolutely fantastic. Just a magician out on the field, and of course a legend here at St. Mary's University, where he kind of put the program on the map.
He really did. Dominant program here in the Maritimes in the late 80s and early 90s with that man Chris Flynn, who was quarterback, a star for the St. Mary's Huskies. 2nd and 7, Argos now for a couple of running plays, and a little tip drill there as in and out of the hands of the intended receiver, Andrew Harris. And so a 3rd and 7 coming up, and the Argos will have to punt it away.
Yeah, that Saskatchewan defense holding tough after giving up the big run to Ouellette to get the drive started. But here a little bit of pressure on Kelly, taking him off script. Maybe dodging a bullet with a bit of a drop there.
So John Haggerty, the punter for the Argos, Mario Alford. Back for the return deep in the Riders zone, early 2nd quarter. Off the hop, Alford takes it down to the 5, a 54-yard punt, and nowhere to go. Coverage is good for the Argos special teams to limit the damage by Alford. Mentioning Chris Flynn, who really wishes, we traded text with him, and he wishes he could be here at this game today. But this is a sample of what he did as an absolute star here in the Maritimes with St. Mary's.
Yeah, Chris Flynn arrived here at St. Mary's in the fall of 1987, immediately became the starter at quarterback. The next 3 consecutive years, he would win the Heck Crichton Trophy. And it honestly made Husky Stadium, and I speak from experience, the most intimidating place in the country to come as a visiting team to play football.
Flags out. Mason Fine swinging it out, lost yardage for Jamal Morrow, who's taken down around the Rider 5. But Flynn, yeah, he went to the Vanier in 80. Actually, the team went in 88. He was hurt, couldn't play against Calgary.
Toronto, number 6, 5-yard penalty. Repeat, 1st down.
And then after that dramatic victory over your Mustangs in 90, narrowly lost to Saskatchewan, and then a couple of years later went back to the Vanier Cup.
And Chris, a draft choice in 1991 of the Toronto Argonauts. Never had an opportunity, unfortunately, to play in the CFL. Spent a little time with the Montreal Machine in the Old World League.
On the 1st and 5, with the penalty being against the Argos. Jamal Morrow was the ball carrier.
We saw Frankie Hickson getting a little bit of an opportunity, and a couple of decent runs from him. But as I mentioned earlier, with getting the receivers involved in the run game with Sean Bain as well, and trying to attack the perimeter, preventing a bit of a threat outside, trying to get those ends to widen. May help Morrow get going between the tackles.
Morrow stays in, 2nd down, and finds a bit of a hole, but Falarin Arimolade is there, in on the tackle, as is Dwayne Hendricks.
Well, it's no question, after watching the blueprint created by the BC Lions last week, exactly what the Argos game plan is. BC shutting down the run last week and basically trying to force Saskatchewan. If Saskatchewan was going to win the game, it was going to have to be on Mason Fine's arm.
So a 1st down, and that carry by Morrow out to the Rider 23. Back to the ground, trying to establish a running game with Morrow. As mentioned, he had 12 carries last week in Vancouver and gained only 11 yards, far and away the least amount of production that he has had in a while.
Yeah, Morrow already with a 100-yard game to his credit earlier this season.
And they're grinding it out to 25 now. They get 6 yards, 2nd and 4, Saskatchewan 29. Establishing a running game to throw this time. Quickly off to Morrow. Finds the edge, another 1st down for the Riders. Something going now as they get beyond the Saskatchewan 35.
Yeah, again, like the play call from Kelly Jeffrey and the Saskatchewan Roughriders offensively. And Jamal Morrow coming off a tough game a week ago. Well, you don't want to let one of your top weapons be taken out of the game plan. Find other ways to put the ball in his hands. And here it's on that swing screen, bubble screen to their running back.
To throw again, Fine with time. And he completes it. A short pass. And that is the first catch of the season for Braden Lenius, who suffered a lacerated kidney in the preseason and has missed the season up until this point. Lenius finally able to play again and has a catch there to make it a 2nd and short.
And we mentioned Mitch Picton going out of the lineup from this receiving core. Keon Schaefer-Baker still out after off-season surgery, but certainly nice to add Lennius and Wenicky to that receiving core. Little boost as Sean Bain and Tevin Jones have done a nice job holding down the fort in the early going.
Well, it was a 2nd and short, and it was Tevin Jones who couldn't hang on to the football. So Mason Fine now 7 for 10, but we do have a 3rd down and about 3 to go. So the punting unit, despite a little bit of progress from that offense, will have to kick it away again with Adam Korsak, who we've seen a lot here in this first half.
And keep an eye on Korsak here, because he looks like he's trying to kind of misdirect Javon Leake with his approach, stepping to his right, kicking to his left, and so on, trying to get that ball on the ground and help out his cover team.
A couple of big returns in this game for Leake, including one for a touchdown, as he is chased off to his left, and a good punt by Korsak, and Leake had no choice, brilliantly executed by the Rider punter of 51 yards back inside the 20. Most efficient way to get to the end zone, a straight line. Dwayne Ford, remembering here in his performance. He's here, touchdown Atlantic. We got a little shark ride.
Staying in theme.
They are. Argo ball, up 13, 2nd quarter, and that is out for A.J. Olette. Catching, running after, gets ahead of steam. Big first down across the Argo 40. And that's the thing about that number 34. If he can get going a little bit after he catches the ball, just like his runs, he's a tough one to bring down.
Yeah, and you can see from the backside, the linebacker, A.J. Allen, trying to chase him all the way across the formation. He's a little late getting there. Olette was wide open when he first caught the ball, and as Allen's trying to play catch-up, he ends up overrunning it. Nice juke back to the inside there for the Argo RB.
That was just Chad Kelly's 2nd completion of the day. 2 for 7 now, and make it 3 completions. Another short pass. That's completed out there to Cam Phillips. But a very successful Argo offense, ranked top of the CFL and led by Kelly in all of these departments. And the rushing touchdowns, too. They only had 9 last year, already passing that, chasing their franchise record.
Yeah, it's been an impressive start for this team. Obviously, again, Chad Kelly coming into the season with just 1 start to his credit. They put a lot of faith in the young man. He's lived up to it.
And he's been sacked only 6 times, fewest by far in the CFL. So getting some good protection up front, too, for Kelly, but kept it on the ground there, and a 3rd down coming up. They're about 2 yards shy. And whistles blowing as they try to quickly get that one off. And the punting unit is heading on.
A little change of plans here for the boatmen. But you talk about the elements of putting a young quarterback in a position to be successful. The Argos have gotten outstanding offensive line play. Their run game has contributed, and that's certainly made life a little bit easier for Chad Kelly.
So instead, they will punt it away. John Haggerty from his 35. Mario Alford inside the 15. And again, good punt coverage after a 48-yard boot by Haggerty. Gainer is here. Rider fans always travel so well. We got some Argo fans here too, but plenty of green in the Merritt.
He worked as a roofer or was working in a bar. The staff here at St. Mary's University would sneak him into Husky Stadium, and he would kick. And they would get the balls for him, and it would happen day after day after day after day. And it was that momentum that brought Lawther back to the CFL. I spoke to him this week after all the flooding, as we've already discussed, and he said to me, we have text groups that I was looking, and I could see that guys were talking about who needed help. help? Who needed help? And I felt a pull home. But the one thing that's always kept me focused on football is the things that the people did for me when I was out of the game. Always making sure that I had the time to kick. They didn't tell me anything. They didn't give me the encouragement. It was their actions. And that's why this place means so much to me.
And really pulling at his emotions, Matthew, this week. The joy of coming home, but just the horrors of the flooding. And said he almost felt guilty, really, coming back. But very, very proud of Nova Scotia. He's from Truro and playing for the third time in touchdown Atlantic. And Mason Fine gets it away after a penalty against the Riders. And a little work after the catch there for Samuel Emelis.
Yeah, Emelis, who had a 3-touchdown game earlier this season against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, has been quiet the last couple. 3 catches for 39 yards after having at least 3 catches in each of the Riders' first 4 games.
You're right, though. Back in week 2, he had a dream game at Mosaic against Winnipeg when Trevor Harris hit him for 3 touchdowns. 2nd and 5 now after that from the Saskatchewan 28. Over the middle, it's intercepted. Picked off by Deshaun Amos, who gets it inside the Rider 25. And the Argos, they've had big plays on special teams. They got a big play on defense now to put them in business again as Mason Fine is picked up for the 3rd time this season.
Daniel, the halfback for the Toronto Argonauts, he's going to be dropping into zone here, and you're going to see a receiver come from the wide side of the field. He's going to try to split the 2 deep defenders. Daniel playing on this short side is just going to fall in towards the middle, get underneath that rope, come up with the INT.
Saskatchewan, number 91.
Yes, Robertson Daniel with his 4th pick, not Deshaun Amos, as I said earlier. But he's having quite a season.
Well, and a tremendous comeback season. Robertson Daniel, a guy who, as a pending free agent, was acquired via trade by the Toronto Argonauts from Calgary. Over the last 2 years had been limited to just three games over the last 2 years because of injuries. But off to a blazing start here in 2023.
On 1st and 5 after a penalty against Anthony Lanier, it's in the hands of Cam Phillips, who gets it down close to goal-to-go country for the Argos there. And another 1st down.
And ironically, certainly not Chad Kelly's finest performance of the season so far by any stretch.
Special teams and defense.
Well, yeah, and I was going to say, even without Kelly doing what he's done all year, maybe the Argos' most dominant first half of the season.
Phillips got it down to the 13, so a 1st and 10. Argos up high, taken down, and Phillips again. And that time gets it down closer to the 5 in frustration for Pete Robertson. 45, the defensive end for Saskatchewan.
Here you'll see Kelly zipping it out wide. Nice block there from Gittins.
Kelly calling his number, taking it down close to the goal line, and it will be a 1st and goal coming up now for the Argos. Kelly close to a touchdown. He has 5 on the season so far, rushing TDs.
Best leading the Canadian Football League in that category. In his running back, AJ Ouellette, atop the list.
First and goal at the Rider 1. Throwing. Dejan Brissett can walk in for another Argonaut touchdown as they continue to pour it on here in the first half of Touchdown Atlantic.
Well, Dejan Brissett, the number 2 overall pick back in 2020 for these Toronto Argonauts, getting his first opportunity as a starter this season. Had a 50-yard grab last week in Hamilton. Follows that up with a touchdown here at TD Atlantic.
So at 19-0, they'll keep the offense in and they'll go for 2 to make it an even 21. 3-touchdown lead for the Argos. Brissett first touchdown of the season. He had one big catch last week in Hamilton at the start of the game for 50 yards. 5 plays, 26 yards. End zone look for 2. Indeed, they have it. And it's Brissett putting the icing on the cake, and that Argo touchdown. He scores it. He gets the 2 from Kelly. And we got a 21-point game with 4.5 minutes to go until halftime.
And those points off turnovers. Always killers. This scoring drive gets started really with the INT from Robertson Daniel. Return deep into Rider territory. Chad Kelly and Dejon Brissett take care of putting the points on the board. First the 6. Follow that up with the 2.
You're right, though. Kelly and the offense finishing the job, but getting a lot of help in this game from special teams and defense with Robertson Daniel's 4th interception of the season. The 2-point conversion there for Dejon Brissett in his 3rd year out of Virginia.
Yeah, and it's nice to see Brissett enjoying some success. Now this is a guy who battled injuries the last couple of years of his college career at Richmond, and then after transferring to the University of Virginia. Guy who originally in high school went down to the States to play basketball. But he's ended up leaving that to his brother O'Shea, an NBA player and member of the Canadian national team. Dejon looking after business here on the gridiron.
And he's back on kick coverage as well. Coming down to the kickoff team. And the special teams tackle made there by the rookie Jonathan Edward. On the return by Saskatchewan up across the 30, but 4:16 on the clock, and a big hole now for the green and white. Down 21-0 as Mason Fine heads back on again.
Yeah, and I go back to this point as you're going to see Winton McManus get in on this one, dropping the shoulder on Mario Alford once Edward wrapped him up a little bit. But yeah, you don't want to be in this position where you're chasing points. And you're putting the young quarterback in a position where the other team can pin back their ears on him.
Throwing, completing to Sean Bain up across the 40. A couple of yards shy of a first down. It'll be 2nd and short coming up here for Saskatchewan.
I mentioned Sean Bain climbing his way up amongst the Canadian Football League's leading receivers through the first 7 weeks of this season. Nice free agent pickup for Saskatchewan, a guy who had spent some time in Calgary, but primarily as a returner.
Jamal Morrow on the 2nd and short. And reaching across there, he had to get to the 43. Looks like he does have a first down for Saskatchewan.
Keep those chains moving, keep Chad Kelly on the sidelines for a little while, and just try and quell the momentum a little bit in this football game. That's the mission of this drive for the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
Hey, you saw that was 2 off that edge, right?
Yeah, I know. I was like,
you didn't have time.
Mason Fine, 9 for 13, 64 yards, 1 interception thrown from the Saskatchewan 43. Looking to his right, completing it again. 2nd catch of the game for Samuel Emelis, who has another first down. He has it up across midfield with the 3-minute warning coming up here at Husky Stadium in Halifax. All Argos so far. Big plays on special teams, on defense, and then finding the end zone and offense to Dejon Brissett, getting the touchdown and the 2 points afterwards. 2:55.
Argos dominant so far in this game, not being able to protect Mason Fine, the running game of the Argos. And I think we should play Who Wants to Be on TV? Who would like to be a panelist? Is that a game we're now playing in the CFL? We'll find out at the half, Rod.
Kate and everybody on the panel, just great having everyone here and some maritime hospitality. We've had a couple of days here and thoroughly enjoyed it. And so Kate and Milt and Ches and Maddie have their thoughts in this first half. Coming up, under 3 minutes to go, Saskatchewan football, 1st and 10, down 21 points, Mason Fine. He looks deep, to the left, oh, close. The coverage there, that was Deshaun Amos on Jake Winicky. So 2nd down coming up, and one of the few deeper balls thrown by Mason Fine.
Yeah, and you heard the panel talk about this before the game, the importance as you see Winneke heading down between the hash and the numbers, working towards that corner. But the importance of Saskatchewan taking some shots deep, obviously a need to hit some shots deep, but the role that Jake Winneke plays as a contested ball guy and trying to make that happen for them.
Fine. Over the middle, complete. First down and more, Tevin Jones. And a great play for the Saskatchewan offense as Fine did take the hit, but gets the completion, and they move down in scoring range inside the 35 Toronto.
Yeah, watch Darius Pickett loops inside. He's got a free run at the quarterback. Nice execution by Mason Fine and Tevin Jones. Fine knows the ball's got to get out quickly. Jones knows he's got to get his head around. They take advantage of that vacated spot over the middle to make a big play.
Gain of 20 yards, Saskatchewan. As deep as they've gone in this first half in Toronto's zone. Fine. Oh, tripped up and taken down. And getting the sack is the tallest player in the Canadian Football League. Yes, and I'm considering Willie Jefferson too. That is Sean Oakman at 6'9", stretching out to trip up Fine before he could get away.
Well, yeah, using all of that 6'9" frame, you're going to see big Oakman coming from his defensive tackle spot here, ripped to the inside on the ground, but stretching out the arms as the Baylor product comes up with the sack.
And a loss of 6. So at the Toronto 40, and they're going backwards and out of field goal range as well. Wynton McManus, there would be a long field goal try now for Brett Lother as they were down inside the 35, and 2 sacks for the Argos, pushing Fine and the Rider offense back to the point now that no, it's going to be a punt coming up here for Corsack instead of a field goal try.
Yeah, I think Robbie Smith got there first and got a hold of Mason Fine's feet. And then Wynton McManus just played the role of human bulldozer going over top of the Rider quarterback.
Those 2 plays cost them 13 yards and pushed them out. So it's Corsack inside the Rider 50. On a 3rd and 23. Had a brilliant punt last time. David Unger, one of the returners back there. And it rolls out nicely again for Corsack.
This is not a game. This is reality. You miss the line and you could die.
Gran Turismo, only in theaters.
Chad Kelly, 7 for 12, 68 yards as Argos have a 3-touchdown lead late in the first half, 1:36 on the clock, and they have the ball deep in their own zone, but a couple of big defensive plays prevented the Riders from a chance at their first points of this game.
Yeah, sacks and penalties are the ultimate offensive drive killers in any brand of football.
Kelly gets rid of it, but losing yards on that play after the reception. Micah Tights coming in with a great play there on A.J. Olette.
Yeah, great to see Micah Tights, University of Calgary product, healthy back at his weak side linebacker position this season. But he was absolutely terrific in 2021. Nice breakout year for him. Missed last season due to injury. Certainly getting back in the swing of things here this season.
Well, 1:18 on the clock. They can hold him here. Oh, ball came loose. It's still loose, and Olette is able to pick it up. So the exchange there from Kelly, nearly costly, nearly turning it over for Saskatchewan with plenty of time and deep in the Argos zone, but Toronto will have to kick it from their end zone.
And we talked right off
Saskatchewan.
Right off the hop in this ball game about the Argonauts and their great starting field position this season. Certainly one of their toughest starts of the year on this one. And things don't get any easier on the drive. Great opportunity here. Craig Dickinson quickly calling timeout to try to maximize his team's time with the ball with what should be good field position to start the drive.
Lots of time, 1:10 on the clock till halftime. Haggerty back a few yards deep in the Argos end zone, and Mario Albert's the one who's waiting for it, and coming into inside the Argo 50, inside the 40. And finally, he is taken down. Robbie Smith coming in. So Alford mentioned those 2 punt return touchdowns he had against Calgary a couple of weeks ago, giving him the top average. And look at the combined yardage. First in the Canadian Football League coming into this week at 803 yards.
Yeah, terrific season once again for Mario Alford. Top special teams performer in the Canadian Football League a year ago, picking up right where he left off.
So already in the range of St. Mary's alum Brett Lother. Looking for more, though. Mason Fine off to the left. That's complete. Right at the sideline, and coming down with it is Sean Bain. And a big first down for the Rider offense. Not thinking field goal at this point. See if they can get into the end zone.
Yeah, and this is one of the, call it, unexpected benefits of some of the injuries the Riders have had in their receiving core early on, is that it's allowed other players an opportunity to step up and make their mark. Sean Bain, Tevin Jones, Samuel Emelis, certainly all on that list for the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
He has 7 catches, Bain does, for 48 yards. And Fine to pass again. Over the middle inside the 5 is Tevin Jones. So Saskatchewan does indeed have something going. Approaching the Argo end zone, it's a 1st and goal coming up.
Watch for Jones, top of your screen. Working inside. A strike there from Mason Fine.
Rider offense did not get a touchdown last week in BC. The chance here on the ground. They have him wrapped up, but he just keeps on pushing and pushing and waiting for the signal here.
Argos say he lost the ball.
The ball comes out. The Argos say they have it. Trying to stretch it across for a touchdown.
Yeah, trying to reach at the end. He took a shot as he was trying to stretch for that goal line with the ball. The question is, was he down before it was knocked out? So watch for a Darius Pickett coming in from the left side of your screen as Morrow reaches. Pickett delivers a shot. Now the ball carrier was certainly wrapped up.
Jamal Morrow trying to get the ball to break the plane of the goal line.
So not down yet. There he takes the shot.
The ruling on the field is a fumble with Toronto recovered in the end zone. The previous play is being automatically reviewed by the command center.
You can see his knees were not down, actually resting on the Argo defender coming in to stop him. Jamal Peters, the one that was holding him up. And the ball comes out. My goodness, Saskatchewan so close to finding the end zone, and yet so far at this point in time as they review.
On a series of events where all 3 phases had done everything right. A fantastic punt from Korshak to start. The Argos deep in their own territory, pinned them, got a great bounce, put the defense in good position to make a couple of plays with the Argos playbook a little limited in that field position. They get the quick stop. Good job by Craig Dickinson to call the timeout, give his offense every chance to be successful before the half. They make a couple of big plays to march down there. And what can really just be classified as an unfortunate bounce here. As Morrow takes that shot.
Royce Mechie coming in.
After review, the ruling on the field stands. It'll be 1st down, Toronto.
So the Riders get that close, and it's popped up at the goal line. No points, and the Argos take over late here in the first half.
Incredibly frustrating turn of events for the Saskatchewan Roughriders and their fans.
You see right here?
It was Jamal Peters holding him up, preventing him from getting in, and then Mechie coming in with that pop that knocked the ball loose. And another big defensive play for the Argos, who've had a few in this game so far, helping to keep the Riders off the board when it looked like they were just about to finally get on. 30 seconds to go. Chad Kelly throws it deep. Coverage is there, and it's Nick Marshall with the interception, his third of the season. So not much time left in 22 seconds on the clock for Saskatchewan to see if they could possibly get it into field goal range and salvage something in this half. They have the ball right now at their 36.
Yeah, Argos taking a deep shot here. If you look right at the very bottom of your screen, there's the matchup. Nick Marshall's just going to run hip pocket, looking back at that football. Intended for Hadel, just ball hangs up a little bit behind him. Nick Marshall easily closing to make a play on that one.
As mentioned, Hadel in the lineup for the first time this season with the injury to DeMonte Coxey. So 20 seconds left. Dumping it down to Tevin Jones. Gets it up across the Rider 45. 16 seconds to go until halftime. And they're over the ball quickly now. In tempo. Need at least 15 yards. 10 seconds. Complete, but no. Braden Lenius. And now just down to perhaps the final play of this first half.
This is it. We've seen the Saskatchewan Roughriders hit a big Hail Mary at a critical time earlier this season.
A proud Nova Scotian, as Matthew talked about, and Brett Lother. There's the deep ball in the last play of the half. And out of bounds it goes. MLS the closest to it. So it's a half that is dominated by the Toronto Argonauts here in the Maritimes. And really, special teams and defense playing a big part of this game so far for the Argonauts.
Yeah, absolutely. Javon Leake was outstanding.
And for the Riders to do on both sides of the ball as we rejoin Matthew Shinetti now with Nick Marshall.
Nick, there hasn't been, at this point, any points in the game, but that turnover, how much is that trying to add to the momentum? Because you guys certainly want to look to build on that in the second half.
It was great to get that turnover going into halftime. Because going into halftime, we got the momentum for our team, and then we looking to come out the second half and start putting points on the board.
This offense, the Argos, hasn't been as consistent or as explosive as we have seen in weeks past. How do you think it can attack it in the third and fourth quarters?
I just say we're going to keep doing what we're doing on defense and then try to force the ball and get some more points on the board this second half.
Thanks, Nick.
Thank you.
Nick Marshall with his third interception of the season. They need more of that. Panel was talking about it, Dwayne, at the half. A big play required from the green and white to get back into this ball game.
Yeah, and I look a little bit at Saskatchewan and make a comparison to the Ottawa Red Blacks in recent weeks. A young quarterback forced into action by an injury, as well as Dustin Crum has played for Ottawa. He's also had a lot of help, as the panel alluded to, from the defense, from their special teams, to make some plays and help put him in a better position, help his team win and compete.
The second half begins. Mario Alford with it. He takes it up across the 30. So Mason Fine coming in, 15-21, 142. He had the one pick thrown to Robertson Daniel, but he had his troubles against that Argonaut defense.
He certainly did, with Winton McManus and others making life very difficult for Fine. Got to relieve the pressure, and I agree 100%. Matt Dunnigan made the point at halftime. Quarterback, now in his fourth career start, being asked to throw the ball 40 times a game, and he's on pace for that again. I'm not sure that that's the best formula for the Saskatchewan Roughriders right now.
Jamal Peters coming in on the catch there by Tevin Jones on first down, limiting that to only a 2-yard gain. And you saw Corey Mace, the defensive coordinator for the Toronto Argonauts, and well, no time to really get the running game going now for Saskatchewan, down 3 touchdowns, but they have been excellent, especially against the run so far this season.
Corey Mace has done an excellent job with the Toronto Argonauts defense since arriving as their DC last year.
So it's a 2nd and 8. Off to Morrow, nowhere to go. Lost yardage. And it is Dwayne Hendricks coming in. What a season he's having. And the interior, that defensive line, and an old D lineman, Corey Mace, is loving that. We talked to them earlier this week about that relationship and how much it's nice for a big man to see an old defensive lineman as his coordinator.
Yeah, exactly. Dwayne Hendricks loving having Corey Mace, a former defensive lineman and still defensive line coach, be the guy coordinating the defense. There are a lot of things he really understands from their perspective.
So Adam Korsak is in as the Riders will have to punt it away on that first possession of the second half for Javon Leake, ever dangerous. Returns a 51 and then a 71-yarder for a touchdown in the first half. Nowhere to go that time. Stopped shy of the 35, and on comes Chad Kelly now. 8 of 14, just 66 yards, a touchdown and a pick. Didn't have to be brilliant though, because of the other units picking up the offense.
Yeah, exactly. Chad Kelly operating without DeMonte Coxie in that receiving core. But other Argos picking up the slack, and as you suggested, Rod, certainly other units picking up the slack to take a little bit of the burden off Chad Kelly in the O.
A.J. Ouellette in at running back. Chad Kelly starting the season at 5-0. 5 straight wins.
Too many players in the huddle. Toronto. 5-yard penalty. Remains first down.
As they start with a penalty here. I was going to say 5 straight wins for Kelly. That's the longest winning streak for an Argo quarterback since Michael Bishop, who won 7 in a row for Toronto back in 2007.
Won 7 in a row before promptly being squeezed out as the starter. The Argos traded for Kerry Joseph from Saskatchewan, reigning MOP that offseason.
Micah Tights coming in on A.J. Ouellette. Good job on the run. So after the penalty and going further back of the Argos now, it's a 2nd down and long coming up. Longer, if you will.
And Saskatchewan hasn't necessarily forced a lot of these in the opening 30 minutes of this ball game, but great way for them to start the second half as we're looking at 2nd and 20 here for the Argos.
Kelly and just dumps it off to Ouellette. Let him do a lot of the work after the catch. Well, he gets up near the 40, still well shy, about 5 yards shy at least of a first down. So John Haggerty and the punting unit will come on.
Well, you heard Nick Marshall talk to Matthew Shinetti as we started this half about feeling like the defense with that turnover, his interception to wrap up the first half, that was an opportunity to grab some momentum and build on it, and they seem to be continuing in that direction thus far.
The punt by Haggerty. Mario Alford chased back close to the 15 on another good punt by Haggerty. And good coverage there by Trevor Hoyt on special teams to take Alford down to shy of the 20. Saskatchewan ball in a 21-point hole. The Riders have the ball. They're down 3 touchdowns. They put together a couple of good drives late in the first half, but couldn't get the points to show for it. Needing something desperately and going to the ground, and they got a good carry. Best one for Jamal Morrow as he gets it up to around the 34 of the Riders.
Yeah, much needed spark from the Saskatchewan run game here. We'll push on that right side. And Morrow dropping the shoulders as he gets upfield.
Nearly got a first down, got about 9.5. Short yardage on second down coming up here. Jake Dolegala, the short yardage quarterback, is in and easily drives his way across the 35 for a first down. Saskatchewan. So back will come Mason Fine. It was the second or third last possession of that first half, Wayne, when they got within field goal range. A couple of sacks pushed them out, and then the next time they got the ball, they should have had a touchdown. Just fumbled right at the goal line to remain with no points on the board.
Yeah, literally inches away from scoring.
Getting rid of it for Sean Bain, but incomplete. And coming in very quickly, the man who had the interception earlier in the first half, Robertson Daniel.
Yeah. This one's going to go to Bain, the inside receiver to that boundary side. Watch as he works back into the hole here. This Fine rolls to his right, but Robertson Daniel once again, a great reaction to the play.
So a 2nd and 10 now at the Rider 35. Four-man rush. Stepping up, completing the pass up near the 44 for Tevin Jones. Had to get, well, the furthest point of advancement is a first down, where they put it down across the Saskatchewan 45. A little discussion on the spot of the football, but certainly looks from our vantage point right in front of us like it's a first down.
Yeah, it's going to be close. I mean, certainly either a first down or a third down plunge for the Riders. As we await the measurement.
Great vantage point. Husky Stadium. They do bring the sticks out. Measure it out. Well,
I think just.
Barely.
Yeah.
I thought they had it. Wrong again. 3rd and an inch, maybe 2.
Yeah, this one happened literally right in front of us. You see he's pretty good spot, I would say, from the officials.
Tevin Jones has really become, with all the injuries at receiver, the feature receiver so far coming into the game. 28 catches and 415 yards tops on the Riders. They've been quite a turnover. Injuries early to Darrell Walker. Kean Schaefer-Baker, yet to see him this season. There's some targets missing for the Riders, but Jones has certainly stepped up. Dolegala is in again and short yardage, and you saw what he needs. The tall QB now leans across and gets a lot more than that. So this drive will continue up, approaching the Rider 47, 48-yard line. Jake Dolegala, who had a start last year for Saskatchewan with the injuries they had at quarterback.
And here you see Dolegala getting in behind the big push of that offensive line. Got the first down easily.
First and 10 at the Rider 48. A fake to Morrow, but nowhere to go. He tosses it to him alertly as he was being taken down. And look what Morrow does with it. They made something out of nothing, and they get it inside the Argo 45. Mason Fine was about to be sacked again and just dished it off to Jamal Morrow, who did the rest.
Yeah, the big plays don't always happen exactly as you draw them up, but nice ad-lib here from Mason Fine. Looked like he was in a world of trouble there. Little chest pass out to Morrow. Watch the backup block there from Samuel Emelis, pretending to get out of the way of one player while jumping into the way of another. Good heads-up play from the receiver to help out.
Rider offense on the move. Rolling out to his right is Fine. Looks downfield, and he has Bain again, down just outside the 20. So here comes Saskatchewan at a time that they desperately need it, deep in Toronto territory now here in the third quarter.
Yeah, offense perking up a little bit here after some big plays from their D. Mason Fine, nice delivery, nice catch along the sidelines there for Sean Bain, who continues to have a big day.
Sean Bain targeted 10 times, 8 catches, 71 yards, the longest of 23. And there they are, down approaching the 21 of the Argos. Down 21, midway third quarter. Pressure coming, gets it away, just throws it away to live for second down. There was heat coming on Fine.
Flag down.
Holding Saskatchewan, number 51. It's a 10-yard penalty. Repeat, first down.
The center, Peter Godber, who's just back in the lineup this week after missing 3 games with injury.
Take a look back at this one. There's Godber, the center. Middle of the action. He's got to pop out to the edge on that one. You saw him haul down the on-rushing Argo defender.
First year with the Riders, came over from the BC Lions, so they're back now outside the 31 on a 1st and 20. And down he goes again. Brandon Barlow. Part of what's been a very effective defensive front for the Argos in this game and this season so far, and pushing the Riders further back.
Yeah, Barlow getting an opportunity here at DN, just gets underneath Brandon Council on that one, driving him back. Open up a lane to the quarterback.
His first sack of the game, 2nd of the season, 4th for the Argos on the day, as they go to the ground and working it back to the previous line of scrimmage around the 31. Winton McManus in on the tackle there. And a 3rd down coming up.
And up to Brett Lother to try and put the Riders on the board here.
From Truro, Nova Scotia, his 3rd touchdown Atlantic. Had one in Moncton, last year in Wolfville. Got the first point in that game a year ago. And this for the first points for the Riders in this touchdown Atlantic. And the proud Nova Scotian pumps it through. Still a lot of work for Saskatchewan to do, but something to cheer about here is they do have, finally, some points on the board. And one of the staples was a slide, a mudslide. The students, as a resident across the way, this little look at, do you remember this scene? The games we watched?
Absolutely. Unforgettable. The St. Mary's fans.
And it got a whole lot muddier than that. That looks like a lot of grass there. But now, of course, that was right around the 40-yard line to the left. And it's all stands now. But that was a famous spot in the stadium. Remember from many Atlantic Bowls past. Micah Tights bringing down, that's Curly Gittins as he gets a touch and takes that toss inside. And he picks up a 1st down for Toronto.
Yeah, again, just a great atmosphere, great scene here. Husky Stadium in the center of the campus.
Kind of disappointed that somebody didn't wear one of those white coverall outfits and look for a spot. Andrew Harris coming in, 13 yards shy of tying Charles Roberts for 5th all-time, 14 to break it. Kelly throws incomplete, intended for Can Phillips, 2nd down.
A 2nd and long for the Argos here, and an opportunity for Saskatchewan's defense to continue getting after it. So they've certainly picked things up. Defense has not completely avoided the injury bug either. You see their coordinator, Jason Shivers, but Roland Milligan, one of their top players. All-around players missing from their secondary with injury.
Kelly on 2nd down, flushed out, tries to step up, but he can't. Pete Robertson's there, DeMarcus Christmas too, and that is the 1st sack for the Rider defense at an opportune time to force Toronto to punt it away. And just the 7th time for the Argos.
Exactly, something the Argos have been able to avoid. much of this season. They've done a good job protecting the quarterback. But again, part of that has been success running the football, keeping defenses off balance, staying out of 2nd and long. But Saskatchewan's got the pass rushers if they can continue to get the Argos in those situations.
Another good boot there by John Haggerty, 58. Mario Alford, again, good coverage on teams. Jonathan Edouard, the rookie, 41 for Toronto, taking him down. DeMarcus Christmas, Pete Robertson finishing it off in their first sack of Kelly on the day, much to the delight of their defensive coordinator, Jason Shiver. Renowned, Dwayne, for the job he did in building the St. Mary's Huskies.
Yeah, absolutely. We mentioned the Chris Flynn era here at St. Mary's. Larry Utek, of course, the coach who recruited Chris here, both of them now in the Canadian Football Hall of Fame, and very deservedly so.
Saskatchewan ball, and nowhere to go for Jamal Morrow after catching that pass. We'll talk about all of St. Mary's success with Utek as head coach. Well, you see, back in 1973, they were national champions when they beat McGill. And then later with Blake Nill as head coach, but Larry Utek still a prominent part of university football here at St. Mary's. They won in 01-02, and sadly, Larry Utek passed away about a month after that second straight Vanier Cup title of ALS back over 20 years ago. A great, important figure in maritime sports history here at St. Mary's. 2nd and 11 now, in the loss of a yard by Morrow. That's complete. First down and more, Sean Bain. Lots of yardage after the catch, too, as he gets it up to midfield, and the biggest offensive play for the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
Yeah, this is what they've been looking for. Some explosion plays. Sean Bain, just the man to provide it. Once again, some protection. The key, even on that one, Fine stands in there and takes a hit, but delivers the strike in stride to Sean Bain. The receiver does the rest, getting out near midfield.
42 yards. He's over 100 in receiving yards for the Riders, leading the way here in Halifax. 113 for Bain. A handoff, no, a fake, and a throw, and a completion to another one. And this is Samuel Emelis. So Mason Fine trying to get things going here late in the 3rd quarter, as Emelis hauls in another.
Yeah, I love the fight being shown here by Mason Fine. Winton McManus bearing down on him again. And McManus kind of looked at him in disbelief when he saw that this ended up in a completed pass.
We've seen the Riders move the ball well before in this game, late first half, when they nearly had a touchdown. Fumbled at the goal line. Under pressure, getting it away, and it is incomplete. And close to being intercepted. Winton McManus with the big pick 6 against the Riders. Yeah, that close for Winton to get another interception and touchdown Atlantic.
Yeah, Fine on the run with that one. Ended up throwing it behind the receiver as he's under pressure. McManus nearly the beneficiary for that pass intended for Frankie Hickson.
That pick he had last year in Wolfville was so important. The Riders in a back-and-forth game at a 2-point lead with about 3 minutes to go in the 4th quarter. And McManus stepped in front of a pass by Cody Fajardo and took it to the house. And a 6-point win. Fine has time. Another completion inside the 20. And that is Emelis again. 21 more yards for the Riders, getting close. A little over a minute left until 3-quarter time.
Yeah, Samuel Emelis, top pick for the Riders a year ago, adding to that depth among their Canadian receivers. Quebec product. Finished up his college career at Louisiana Tech after basically being their aerial attack at UMass prior to that.
There's 4 catches for 60 yards. Fine. Flushed out to the right. Gets it away, and it's caught again for another first down. First catch of touchdown Atlantic for Jake Winicky. And coming off the injured list, his first catch in a while.
Yeah, we've seen Fine look for Winicky on a couple of deep balls earlier in this ball game here. He finds the big slot back off the scramble. Winicky working upfield a little bit as Fine's coming his way. Stands in, takes a big hit to make that catch inside the 10-yard line.
So Mason Fine 24 of 32, now for 263. And they're knocking on the door on a 1st and goal. Under pressure and just throws it away. Coming in, taking him down is Winton McManus. We've got to him in the first half as well. And that is 3/4 time. Well, the Riders are still down 18 points, but they have something to make them feel optimistic right now as they get close to the Argo end zone, and they need to reach it soon. Saskatchewan Roughriders play. Passionate fans follow. So many heartwarming Rider fan stories over the years, and another one now from Matthew Shinetti.
Roger, looking at Sue and Ken Linnon. 49 years they've been Roughriders season ticket holders. This past week, the Riders honored Sue with their Touchdown for Dreams program for women who have life-threatening situations. Sue has cancer, and when she met the team this past week, she met Jamal Morrow. And Jamal Morrow presented her with some tokens and told her, because her dream was to follow the Riders in Toronto, and they told her, no, Sue, you're going to Nova Scotia, you're going to Halifax, you're going to follow the Riders to Husky Stadium. And Sue told the Riders, listen, I have my fight, you're fighting for the team. Now, Jamal Morrow's grandmother died of cancer, and when he looked in Sue's eyes, he saw joy. And he said, listen, that's what this league means, but more to that, it's not just this league, it's what this team means. And when I looked at Sue, I realized how much Riders fans love our team. Guys.
Couldn't have said it better, Matthew. Thank you. And our thoughts with Sue in that fight of hers, and great to see her and Ken here among the many Rider faithful watching this team at Touchdown Atlantic in Halifax.
And hopefully Sue has the support of all of Rider Nation, quite frankly, all of CFL Nation in her fight.
And a look into the end zone on a 2nd and goal for Mason Fine, intended for Jake Winicky. Royce Mechie there, and there is Sue and Ken, and beautiful smile on her face and enjoying this. I'm sure you get to watch her team, and this is, as mentioned, the 100th meeting between these two storied franchises, the Riders and the Argos, and it happens to be here in the Maritimes.
Yeah, very fitting. The best traveling fan base in sports, that of the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
No question. 3rd and goal. A look into the end zone. No! Off the fingertips of Braden Lenius. They went for it on 3rd down. They'll turn it over on downs. Still down 18 points. And Lenius close to a touchdown in his first game of the season for Saskatchewan.
Yeah, and it looked like Lenius might have had some trouble picking up that ball and kind of navigating the uprights, etc. Sorry, Sue.
Oh.
It was close. But yeah, it just looked like Lenius got his hands up late on that one, maybe not sure how the ball was going to be affected by the uprights there.
Braden Lenius of North Vancouver suffered a kidney injury, lacerated kidney, in the preseason. So his debut, Andrew Harris, the running back, is 26, add a couple more to that total, aiming for 40, which would put him 5th all time, an inevitability for one of the great running backs in the history of the Canadian Football League.
We haven't seen a lot of Harris and Ouellette on the field together in this game, but talking to AJ this week, he said, you know, he approached the coaching staff this offseason and asking for ways for he and Andrew Harris to be out there together.
Ouellette, the running back, it is thrown on that 2nd and long. The intended receiver was Dejan Brissett, who had a touchdown in the first half. Coverage good. 3rd down coming up, as the Argos will have to punt this one away. And it should be a good spot in the field for Saskatchewan to get it back and try again to see if they can make it a 2-score game.
Yeah, the Saskatchewan Roughriders obviously having trouble finding that end zone, but continuing to scratch and claw, keep themselves in this football game.
John Haggerty back at the Argo 5. Mario Alford standing at the Saskatchewan 44. The Argos punt coverage has done a very good job for the most part on Alford. He tries again to break it free, and there you go, down across midfield, but not much more after a 44-yard punt. Sue and Ken enjoying the chance to see this team in person here in Halifax, and nearly got to sit with the Grey Cup. So Purelator Tackle Hunger game today here in Halifax, one of many this season. Saskatchewan has the ball. They have it across midfield. They are down 18. They got to a goal to go last time around, but couldn't get it in the end zone. Mason Fine back to work. Tevin Jones has the ball inside the Argo 40. Mentioned today is a Tackle Hunger Day. There are many. Here's a look at the schedule the rest of the way. The next one coming up in Winnipeg on August the 3rd. It's been a great cause. It's been very important to us over the many years here on the CFL on TSN. From the Argo 38. Saskatchewan has been able to move the ball. They just have to cash in. And a four-man rush gets rid of it, and he completes it too. Tevin Jones turns around and tries to break a tackle and get closer to the 30 on that first down play. It'll be a 2nd and short coming up.
Yeah, nice second effort there by Tevin Jones. Though it looks like he's paid a price for that battle for extra yardage. Yet another casualty for the Riders receiving corps.
So that extra effort, as you talked about, and then being taken down by Winton McManus, and Jones remains down. Well, I talked about the importance of Purelator Tackle Hunger to us, and none more so than our dearly departed friend and colleague Chris Schultz. This is back at the exhibition game, preseason game, Hamilton and Toronto, here at St. Mary's, 2005. Look at that. Dave Randorf hosting, Matt Dunnigan, Schultz, Jock Climby on that panel as well. But we know over the many years he really took this cause to heart. Chris Schultz did.
Yeah, Schultz, regardless of what he undertook, no question, one of the best teammates you could ever have in any battle. And Purelator Tackle Hunger, very fortunate to have Schultz, as you said, so a cause so near and dear to his heart.
And there he was with Pinball Clements, who the general manager of the Argos now, but a former teammate of Schultz's and Matt Dunnigan's too. And you know, you think of everything that Nova Scotia's gone through, most recently the flooding, and of the many great causes, and there are so many. That one as well for people in need. Another very kind, charitable man, Michael Pinball Clements, and a great football player too in his day, winning as a head coach too, a championship. So that was 2nd down and short, and we will have a 3rd down coming up now. They got nothing there.
The Riders continuing to play 3-down football, particularly when they're here in Argo territory.
So many times the Riders have gotten close and just have not had anything to show for it. Just a field goal in this game. 3rd down again. The 31 flags out, movement along the line of scrimmage. Automatic first down if it's against the Argos. But was there movement on that Saskatchewan front?
Procedure, Saskatchewan, number 64. It's a 5-yard penalty, remains 3rd down.
Yes, there was. The left guard, Evan Johnson, gets flagged for that, so that pushes them 5 yards further back. 3rd down, and that makes a difference as Brett Lothar will come on instead and try to add 3 more on the board.
Steady diet of Sean Oakman, Dwayne Hendricks, and Jared Brinkman. Little Deontay Knight from those defensive tackle spots of the Toronto Argonauts is enough to make anyone flinch. Evan Johnson moving a little early on that one.
Jorgen Hus with the snap, and Korsak will put it down at the 44 for Brett Lothar, who goes 2 for 2. And a great homecoming regardless for Lothar, back where he played his university days, meaning a lot to him. His team is still down though. Now a 15-point game. 21-6. Argos still very much in control in the 4th quarter. Marshall Ferguson will have the call with Paul LaPolice in the analysis there. It kicks off at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific, only on TSN. Stamps coming off that OT loss at home to Ottawa last week. Montreal had the bye. Another interesting East-West showdown. In this one, it's Toronto leading, but things have stalled a bit for the Argos since they jumped in front 21-0. The last 6 points belong to the Riders, but still a 15-point edge. Over 10 minutes to go, A.J. Ouellette, and really nowhere to go there. Ouellette, we talked to him earlier. He is trying to open up a camp for kids in the Greater Toronto area to teach them football. He expressed an interest on Twitter. Chad Kelly pledged to help him out as well, but would like to help kids of all ages learn the game of football.
Yeah, absolutely. Good for AJ with a desire to get involved in the community and give back. Obviously a guy who's a terrific football player, but a guy who knows his way around the gym as well.
Well, you talked to him a lot about that.
Toronto, number 63. It's a 5-yard penalty. Remains second down.
You had quite a chat with him about his workout routine and talk about a disciplined guy who gets up early into no-name gym.
Yeah, absolutely. It loves the off-season, the preparation part of the game, but one of the first guys into the facility every morning to hit the weights as well during the season.
2nd and 15 after the penalty, and that one is complete to Cam Phillips. That is up across the Argo 50, close to midfield, and a first down, a gain of 16 yards.
Yeah, nice job by Cam Phillips to go get this one. Laying out as he comes across the middle, right to left, coming across your screen. One of the Argos' biggest plays of this second half.
Andrew Harris is back in, but yeah, we haven't seen much this Argo offense, especially since halftime. Kelly, he rolls out to his right. He completes that one too, so suddenly on the move down to the Rider 45. Tavares Daniels.
Ill will heating up a little bit down there. The hostilities begin with Daniels and Dalkey having words after the tackle.
Well, Daniels has had some big catches, had a touchdown last week in Hamilton. The Ticats were down 3 touchdowns. They scratched their way back and made it a 1-score game, and then it was just a quick drive, 4 plays. The Argos got back into the end zone. Daniels had a big catch there. Here's Ouellette, right side, and some tough running for a tough running back as he picks up a few more yards, still shy of the Saskatchewan 40. Andrew Harris will sub in.
The ground yardage hasn't come easy for the Toronto Argonauts in this football game. Good effort. Battle put forth by the Saskatchewan defense throughout. 68 rushing yards today.
Super. Ouellette gets a break. Harris is in, 10 yards shy of tying a running back he grew up watching, Charles Roberts, former Winnipeg Star. For 5th all-time movement at the line, finger pointing time, flags come out and hit the field. Quieter.
Offside, Saskatchewan, number 45. It's 5-yard penalty, remains second down.
You get Pete Robertson. Quieter season, I was going to say, for Andrew Harris, who was injured through a good chunk of last year's first with the Argos and then came on strong at the end. If you look all time, most rushing yards in the history of the CFL, and there he is, 10 away from tying Charles Roberts, 11 from moving into sole possession of 5th all time, and some big names still ahead on that impressive list. There's Harris. Well, he's close to having the yardage there as the sticks move for a first down. Does indeed. John Russin, our statistician, says 11 yards. Andrew Harris, and that is enough to make him the 5th in the history of the CFL, just passing Charles Roberts in all-time league rushing.
As the remarkable career of Andrew Harris continues. native of Winnipeg, plucked by the BC Lions out of junior football.
Back to him. Another yard to add to the total. Tough yard there for one of the great running backs in the history of the CFL. You mentioned those BC years, won a Grey Cup there, racked up a lot of yardage as he did back home in Winnipeg, winning championships as well. And now 10,287, 2 ahead of Roberts, now chasing one of the greats with Edmonton, Johnny Bright from years ago. Second down and 9, throwing. Oh, and taken down. Anthony Lanier there on Curly Gittins after that catch.
Oh, Anthony Lanier. Guy who probably doesn't get talked about enough on that Saskatchewan defensive line, but well, you see the big wingspan. Wonder, did he catch the face mask there?
That's what Gittins is asking. No flag down. Third down. And Boris Beatty is coming on. This drive stalls for Chad Kelly and the Argo offense, but looking to get their first points coming up here in the second half. Still comfortably in front, as Beatty will try to make it an 18-point game again. A 3-score game. Beatty is 2 for 2. Haggerty puts it down, and he puts it through. Stays perfect. Restores an 18-point lead. And of note, little souvenir for future Hall of Famer Andrew Harris. This is the run that did it to move him into number 5 all-time in CFL rushing history. Our moment of chill. Just chilling up atop the dorm.
Yes, sir. Giving us those great looks from the sky.
Great stuff, Alec. Now flushed out of the pocket again. Is fine. Turns and fires and completes it to Jones. Another good passing play for the Riders across midfield and a first down.
Well, let's take a look from the dorm cam. Fine, recognizing that blitz coming up the middle, escapes to his left. Hits Tevin Jones coming back into the hole.
Moving in again. Let's try again, Alec. Your moment of chill. Hey there. Hey back. Great stuff. Enjoy your view of the game. I'm sure you have. Fine has it knocked away and does get it back. And coming in was Falarin Arimolade, who just got to his passing arm before he could get rid of it. Unfortunately for the Riders, they still do have possession.
Yeah, Arimolade, the former Calgary Stampeder.
Saskatchewan, timer, please put 3 minutes and 43 seconds on the clock. 3 minutes, 43 seconds.
Just a great job dipping his inside shoulder, getting underneath the offensive lineman. And there to tap that ball free. Put the Riders in a little bit of a hole here on second down. Arimolade, Argo's biggest off-season free agent signing.
They get close to a touchdown, as mentioned in the first half, had the fumble. On 3rd and goal here in the second half, they went for it and couldn't convert. They were close. But missed opportunities, and there's one for the Argos. This will go for a touchdown. 57 yards, Deshaun Amos has a pick 6.
A long pass out to the wide side. Take a look here as it's Fine getting blasted by Sean Oakman as he delivers that one. That'll take a little velocity off the ball. Receiver's waiting on it, but Amos is jumping on it for the pick six.
A year ago, Wynton McManus had the interception for a touchdown that got the Argos to 30 points. They went for 2 and didn't get it. This time, just the point after with the bigger lead to make it a 31-6 game, as the Argos defense has certainly had itself a game.
Brother, sister.
Yes, sir. Keep an eye. Deshaun Amos down at the bottom of your screen. Fine with Oakman bearing down, tries to get it out to the wide side. Again, tough to step into it when you've got that kind of pressure coming. Deshaun Amos takes advantage, jumping in front with a defensive touchdown. Argos D and special teams resume their status as the story of the day for Toronto.
And we saw earlier Mason Fine heading off the field after the interception. Looked like he was favoring his non-throwing hand, his left hand. And we do see backup quarterback Jake Dolegala now warming up as the Riders are going to be getting the ball back soon. Amos celebrating his second interception of the season, and this one going for a touchdown in Touchdown Atlanta.
He ain't seen the game plan yet. So when we get opportunity, let's show him the game plan.
Amos, McManus, Orimolade, Robertson, Daniel, the many former Calgary Stampeders who played under Corey Mace out west.
Quite a few.
Making quite a statement for the Argos defense here today.
Riders now down 25. Alford, 3:10 on the clock, breaks free. And a good return up across the 35. And a flag is coming out. And we will have a change at quarterback by the looks of things as we see Jake Dolegala heading out.
Yeah, watch big Sean Oakman. Quick move to the inside, right up the middle. Just burying the Saskatchewan quarterback Fine.
So a tough day overall.
Saskatchewan, number 31. Half the distance to the goal, first down.
So Jake Dolegala had a start last season against Toronto, and that's what he did. And steps in now. Of course, Trevor Harris injured a couple of weeks ago against Calgary, giving Mason Fine that opportunity, and Fine appeared to injure his left hand after the pick six. His numbers for the day, over 300 yards passing, but just couldn't get into the end zone. And that's been a problem lately, especially for the Riders, who didn't score a touchdown last week, without one so far in this game. And Dolegala out of Central Connecticut. Under 3 minutes to go and throwing to the right. And it is caught. Coverage was tight, but coming away with it is Jones, who gets it up across the 40. With the 3-minute warning coming up now at 2:48 on the clock in this fourth quarter of Touchdown Atlantic. The game mostly dominated by the Toronto Argonauts. The view from on high at Husky Stadium in Halifax.
Today, they will hold the record for the longest home losing streak in North American pro sports history. It's BC at Edmonton, but first, let's finish off Toronto and Saskatchewan. Rod?
With the Argos, Kate, closing in on improving to 6-0 for the first time since the mid-1930s. Jake Dolegala with that one in behind Jake Winicky, and Deshaun Amos close by, who just had an interception for a touchdown and looks for a moment there like he's thinking he should have had more. I don't know. 31-6 as it stands right now.
Some positives offensively for the Saskatchewan Roughriders in this ball game, but the bottom line is, to win in the Canadian Football League, you got to score.
Without a touchdown in Touchdown Atlantic, and a big part of the story, because you're right, the Riders had their chances.
Well, and held without a touchdown last week as well by the BC Lions.
2:39 in the clock here in Halifax. The play fake, deep ball, right side, and threading the needle, beautifully done. And that completion inside the 40 to Emelis with another catch, but a nice throw there by Dolegala.
Yeah, Samuel Emelis coming up big here today. And a guy who was overshadowed a little bit, I would say, in that 2022 CFL draft, as much of the receiver talk, for good reason, centered around the Philpott twins. But Samuel Emelis had a pretty good college highlight reel himself and started to demonstrate some of that skill at the CFL level this season.
The Argo 38, and that one is complete to the fullback, Albert Awachi, out of the University of Toronto.
Yeah, quick hitter there to Awachi, so often part of the max protection plans for Saskatchewan, that time getting out of the backfield off the line of scrimmage for a reception.
Gain of 7, 2nd and 3. Argo 31, Dolegala. Deep right, caught, touchdown, Saskatchewan. And the Riders finally find the end zone. Sean Bain. A nice catch and a nice ball.
Yeah, what a throw, what a catch. Dolegala with the frozen rope there. Sean Bain, the dazzling over-the-shoulder grab. Dolegala dropping it in there just perfectly over the defender. Bain with the adjustment. The Riders' first major of the day.
Long overdue for Saskatchewan, the most targeted receiver in this game for the Riders. 12 targets, 10 catches, 113 yards, a touchdown for Sean Bain from Jake Dolegala. And despite the score, Rider fans do have something to celebrate here in Halifax.
Yeah, big play there. You're going to see Bain coming out of the slot, and he's going to work towards the corner. You see Dolegala, great height, able to see over the line as the pocket starts to close in a little bit. Stands in there, zips it in. Battle between a couple of former Stampeders out there, Daniel and Bain, with the receiver getting the win on this one.
Some great replays, and how about that all 24 from Dorm Cam and Alec Cook when we saw that high. And Jake Dolegala, he steps in for a little bit of late action in this game in Touchdown Atlantic, and he looked very sharp. A couple of passes, including that one to Sean Bain.
And Jake Dolegala looking to take advantage of an opportunity here with a little bit of late game action, throwing his ring in the his hat in the ring to perhaps get a start at quarterback for the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
Well, we mentioned the Rider fans, and hey, you know, shout out to Argo fans too. Saw plenty of them, but no fan base, as mentioned, moves around like this one. I remember last year at Acadia, just the sight of all the green, and you can see it in the stands here at Husky Stadium. As they finally do see their team get into the end zone. Under 2 minutes to go, and Truro's Brett Lawther for a short kick. Hands team out. On this one, they need to get the ball back. Need to get downfield again in a real hurry. As Lawther goes the other way, and it ends up heading out of bounds. He slipped, turned around. They had something set up to go the other way, but it didn't work out. Argo football.
Yeah, he got the bounce he wanted. Well-kicked ball. Want to hit the top part of that ball and have a couple of short hops and then the big hop. But the Argos knew their roles. And man on that side, your job is to take the man as the return team. you're allowed to block a player. Whereas if you are the kicking team, you can't so much intentionally take players out.
So trying to catch the Argos special teams napping, but didn't quite work. CJ Rivas was the rider that it was intended to from Lawther. Javon Leake is in at the big return for the touchdown in the first half. We mentioned Brett Lawther, of course, one of the local products here from Truro. And there's another offensive lineman, a backup, Gregor McKellar, in his second year. He played at St. FX, and he grew up just about 20 minutes away west of Halifax in Timberlea, Nova Scotia.
Yes, sir. St. FX product. Started his college career down south at Rice University, but elected to come back home and play, a star for Gary Waterman and the X-Men. Brett Lawther, as mentioned, the receiver turned kicker here at St. Mary's.
And by the way, Cameron Dukes in at quarterback, not Chad Kelly for the Argos, with them comfortably ahead and just a minute and a half to go. We saw Dukes with a short yardage touchdown in Hamilton last week. He's got a couple of those in his first year out of Lindsey Wilson, the school in Kentucky.
As you mentioned, Cameron Dukes seeing all his action thus far as a short yardage QB. But an opportunity as the Argos came into this season, obviously, with Chad Kelly, who had the one start at the end of last year, and no other experience at quarterback. You had Dukes and Brian Scott.
So, for two reasons, of course, for Ryan Dinwiddie, to keep Chad Kelly healthy and also give Cameron Dukes a little bit of playing time now in the final minute here of Touchdown Atlantic.
Yeah, given the jinx that has faced starting quarterbacks in the CFL this year.
You're not kidding.
You want to have somebody else prepared to go and take snaps if need be, and it's the nature of the game. The ball is thrown so many times. Quarterbacks are going to run with the ball. They're going to take more hits than they do in other brands of football, and thus increasing the risk of injury for those guys under center.
In this final minute, and taking a knee in victory formation now. And last week, the Argos improved to 5-0 for the first time since 1960. The last time they were 6-0, 1935. Very different time. Well, you know what's interesting? I can't believe this. They won their first 6. They lost their next 3. They finished 6-3. They missed the playoffs. Don't ask. I don't know. But that's the way the format was many, many years ago. It's not looking like this team is going to have trouble making the playoffs anyway. The defending Grey Cup champions off to a terrific start. And about to finish off their second straight Touchdown Atlantic victory over the Saskatchewan Roughriders. As mentioned, this is the 100th regular season game ever between these two franchises. Saskatchewan easily has the overall series. However, the Argos have the recent success. About to go 8 of the last 9 against the Riders. They swept the series last year, including the one in Wolfville, as Dukes will do it again. Wait. And then finally wrap it up. It has been a wonderful couple of days in a city, in a province that has needed something positive in just such a difficult time. But it was great to have this chance to once again celebrate the CFL, the Canadian game here in the Maritimes.